I apologize to your souls in the world. The video cut out. That's the nature of the material world, dear souls in the world. Doesn't matter who you are, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. In other words, dear souls in the world, through the expressing of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, whatever situation you're in, whatever state you're in, it'll become brighter and brighter and brighter. And, it doesn't require anything external to you, aside from the mantra, you know. You don't have to have friends, you don't have to have wealth, you don't have to have beauty, so-called beauty. You don't have to have anything like that, you know. Your only friend could be a cat, right? And actually, if you express this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to the cat, because the cat or the pet or whatever living entity it is, dear souls in the world, is living because it's conscious, because it has a heart, they'll benefit as well. Anything that has a heart benefits. This is my understanding anyway, dear souls in the world, from the expressing of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's amazing how common it is. Sorry, let's say dear souls in the world. It's amazing how common it is, as far as I am aware, dear souls in the world, and also from my personal experience, to not think that you're worthy of real care, real self-care, soul care. Like, I have more important things to do, or I'm not deserving of that right now. I best just take shelter of my mind, or feel guilty, or feel angry. We don't feel like we deserve to be taken care of. And that's no surprise, because I remember hearing from this great saint and soul, His Holiness Sevamita Swami, that, I'm just paraphrasing to souls in the world, that we come from a careless culture that doesn't care. We can see all around us the things that we do in this culture, this modern, westernized, sickly sweet, clean and green, but actually not so clean and green Western culture, if that makes sense to ourselves in the world. Look at what we're doing to the environment. Look at what we're doing to other living entities. Mass slaughter. We don't care about other living beings. We don't care about our self that is living. Look at how we destroy our bodies and minds all the time. Even if you are living a pious life, which simply means, no, you're not doing anything that severely damages your body and mind. Even within the mind, maybe we criticize ourselves. We don't care, and so this is how we start to care. Once we start to keep, sorry, I'm going to say this doesn't work. Once we start to care actually at the deepest level, then it becomes a lot easier to care naturally on all other levels, like the shell levels that are the body and mind. It becomes easier to look after them. Life becomes clear as to what we're meant to be doing, which is to love ourselves at the deepest level, and only then can we love others at the deepest level. It's like I have had a history of, using sex apps. I apologize if anyone young is watching this session with me here, so feel free to block your ears if you're below 18. But, that was how I used to try and find connection. And the kind of, I apologize for the descriptions, but the kinds of conversations that one would have on these kinds of things. These apps, it's just all about the body and how well you can be used and abused, and how well the other person can be used and abused. And actually, it's interesting because when I used to be on these apps, maybe some people can relate to this, dear souls in the world, it's amazing how fearful people actually were. You could feel the fear behind what they were saying. So fear is a very great problem. So the more that we debase ourselves on the bodily level, the more fear we have. This is my personal experience anyway, dear souls in the world. And then the more that we really nourish ourselves with light through this expressing of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the more fearless we are. All these great qualities start to emerge, which are the qualities of genuine human beings. And I in no way am saying this as a judgment or a comparison. I'm also in the same group as everyone. We're all striving to be better persons, so if I ever say anything that sounds extreme or harsh, I apply it to myself. Otherwise, why am I talking? Why am I sharing this? We should never feel bad about where we are at currently. It's almost like, instead just look forward to, when we start to express this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, looking forward to what it will bring. What then we can do with our life, with ourselves, with others, in a completely selfless way. And it's a gradual process, so it could be, but it's not common, I would say, that someone goes from being how they are to being completely pure, like, the next second, so it's a gradual process, and you start to see the layers come off gradually, so it also takes a bit of patience, but, there are so many great resources that can help to inspire one to continue to go deep, so many sadhus, they're called, that's my understanding anyway, they're like saintly persons. In case you didn't hear what I just said, Hare Krishna to yourselves in the world. Have so much wisdom because they've gone deep for so long through the expressing of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. They have so much to offer, and you do too, and I do. The deeper we go, the more we have to offer. And yes, I think it's good to point out that it's what's described to be the illusory energy, which my understanding anyway, dear souls in the world, is it's an energy, sorry, I meant to say dear souls in the world, it's an energy within the material world that's simply composed of things that are completely temporary, that's their nature, they come and go. So this body, for example, that's my understanding anyway, dear souls in the world, is temporary. And anything that doesn't fully satisfy the real self, which is soul, beyond body and mind, that's my understanding anyway, dear souls in the world. And so, yes, it appears to be very attractive, like, I will give you so much, if you just invest in me, the illusory energy, simply forget about anything of a transcendental nature or a spiritual nature. So I'm going to say, dear souls in the world, this is me in the voice of the illusory energy. Simply focus on your body, focus on your job, on building so many walls around you, so many sand castles, so I'm going to say, dear souls in the world, just like a child, becomes, this is my understanding anyway, dear souls in the world, the child becomes so immersed in the sandcastles, forgetting that sooner or later the tide is going to take the sandcastles away, so all of that work on its own, it's like zero in the end, because it's all going to leave us. And so what's recommended is a combination, a symbiotic relationship, that's my understanding anyway, dear souls in the world, between matter and transcendence, or matter and spirit, endeavouring in both, so for example, I still do what I can, I exercise a lot in my personal opinion, so that's me taking care of the body, but for me to simply invest in that, whilst forgetting about the health of my consciousness, the health of my soul, that's my understanding in dear souls in the world, the health of my heart, because the body on its own, just simply serving the body, looking after the body, it can't nourish the heart. This is my personal experience anyway, dear souls in the world, my understanding, dear souls in the world, if that makes sense, dear souls in the world. Simply looking after the mind, it doesn't nourish the heart. Otherwise, why do people become heartbroken? Why do people have yearnings for so many things. So this redirects where our loving energy goes, whereby we get the reciprocation that we're actually looking for, which we can't find, I'm sorry to say, in a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife or a job or a house or the clothes that we wear. That on its own, it's described in this beautiful book called the Srimad Bhagavatam to simply all be decorations on a dead body. It's nice, it appears very nice, the decorations, but they're lying on a dead body. This is how it's this is how we wake ourselves up in a genuine way, whereby we still have as many decorations as we'd like, but it's actually being decorated on a living being, because we're actually experiencing real life on the inside through the expressing of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So I'll finish there. I hope I haven't made anyone uncomfortable or scared anyone, but if you're feeling these ways, I'd recommend simply go deeper into the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is what it's meant for, to take shelter of, no matter how we're feeling, whatever we're feeling, in other words, whatever we're thinking, so I would say dear souls in the world, whatever's going on in our life, dear souls in the world. So I would say dear souls in the world. If all of that made sense, dear souls in the world. So I would say dear souls in the world. So, that's a little bit of a introduction to the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra meditation. If you have any critiques, questions, feel free to jot them in the comments below. I don't use private messenger personally. It just helps me to keep my life simple, for now anyway, because things are always changing. But that's another point that I'll leave you all with, dear souls in the world, is you don't have to feel bad about doing anything that you need to in order to help yourself to focus on this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If that means, only letting certain persons into your life that you feel comfortable around, or only going for a certain kind of job, or, things like that, making certain choices where you can facilitate, deep meditation, that's okay. You don't have to feel bad about it. I'm not saying that one has to do that, because sometimes we don't have a choice. We're forced into situations where, okay, I'm in this situation. So I'm not saying that you have to or you don't have to, if that makes sense to yourselves in the world. It's okay to put up boundaries. It's okay to really look after yourself on all levels, because at the end of the day, no one's going to do that for you. They may give you nice words, they may give you nice hugs, they may give you nice smiles, but at the end of the day, they have to live their life. You have to live your life. You have to feed yourself. So I'll end there. I wish everyone wellness on the soul and heart level. Hare Krishna.